And welcome back, everybody, to another episode of V-Time, episode 136. Unfortunately, I'm soloing this one today. The other guys couldn't find the time to join me in this one. But don't worry, we got a lot to talk about nonetheless. We got a lot of leaks, last trial deck, a couple of booster sets. We get to look at some Digger Days, some other stuff, as well as the ban list, and a little bit of extra opinion towards the end in a good way. So either skip to it or stick to the end. We'll see what happens. So it's going to be a fun episode for you guys tonight. But before we can get started, you know the deal. If you're interested in any cards from TCGPLAYER, please use our affiliate link down below. Purchases through this link will support the channel so we can bring more great content. I miss Alex on these days where I can't just... I can't remember every single word he says. Come on. All right, anyway. With that being said, let's go straight to the leaks. We're going to start off, like we said the last feed time, with the last two reveals from that Thursday that we missed, that are for Dark States, yada, yada, yada. And we're going to start off with bad reading. Transurator. I'm going to be butchering these names all day, so it's going to be a good solo. Anyway, we got a grade 3 from the trial deck. Its ability is auto rearguard when this unit attacks. If you have a Vanguard Jejewel in its card name, +1, and this unit gets power 10k until the end of that battle. At the end of that battle, put this unit into your soul. So it's a nice beat stick for the goes up to 23. Counterblast is not a problem in the trial decks. We'll see how much the booster set changes that. And then it puts has you put a grade 3 into your soul, which for Jejewel is really good. It's easy to get grade 2s, grade 1s, and even grade 0s into the soul. Depending on how many grade 3s you run, maybe harder, so this is a nice addition inside the trial deck. Moving on, we're going to look at a grade 1 from the trial deck, Avid Heaper. Normal grade 1, 8k power with a small ability of auto rearguard. When this unit boosts a grade 2 or greater unit, you may soul charge 1. Extra soul charge is never too bad. Interesting addition for the trial deck. All is good. Now that we got the Jewel out of the way, we're going to start moving on to the last trial that they got leaked this week. But before we hit that, Bushiroad decided to make a big announcement and introduce an interesting promo inside all of those trial decks. And this promo, I'm pretty sure is going to be played not only in D, but also in Premium out the wazoo. What promo I'm talking about? I'm talking about Elementary Sanctude, whatever. Like I said, I'm going to be butchering these names. It's a grade 1 blitz order, and it's got a couple of interesting abilities. For the first, it's a sentinel, so you can only play up to 4 sentinels in your deck, so this will replace one of your PGs, but also has another continuous ability of you may only have one of this in your deck. So it's basically like a sentinel overtrigger where you can only play one of them. Now, why can you only play one of them? Its ability is, if your opponent's Vanguard has triple drive, this ability can be played without paying the cost. If it doesn't, you just pay the cost. Pay it with discard a card from your hand, just like any other PGs, if your Vanguard is grade 3 or less. Choose one of your units, and it cannot be hit until the end of that battle. Remove this card. So it is 100% an interesting card, and very, very similar to the overtriggers we have. You can only play one of it. Once you use it or it gets used, you remove it from the game. You've removed this card. It's still a PG, so you choose one of your units. It can't be hit. But it has a very interesting incentive where this is only going to be played in decks that do not want to go to their grade 4s. This, talking about standard first. So this is not going to be usable in Bruce, Nirvana, Magnolia, Pure Light, or Bastion grade 4s, because you have to have a grade 3 or less Vanguard to use it, and it basically works against grade 4s. Now, of course, it works against other types of cards as well. For example, if you have the old Bruce and you boost him with Mabel, Mabel gives him triple drive. So this order will work against that Bruce boosted by Mabel using that ability, because at that moment, the Vanguard has triple drive. But if the Vanguard has twin drive later and a rearguard swings, this card will now work as a free cost. So there's a lot of great nuances in standard for this. But of course, I don't have to tell the premium people, every single stride has triple drive. Gaining drive does not hinder this. It just needs to have triple drive. Triple drive, the icon, not 3 drive checks. That's a different story. So if it has triple drive engaged drive check, it still has triple drive, the icon, so it works. So for premium, I can see this thing just dominating, or not being dominating, but just being in premium, very, very much used. And it being a promo inside of trial decks, good incentive to buy. Trial decks are going to need it. Overall, I really like this one. All right, enough about this interesting Cray Elemental-ish Blitz order. Let's go into the last start deck that they decided to reveal for us, and more butchering of names because we have Banned Inside of Roses. That was a good one. Anyway, we're going to start off with the starter like always, and we have Announcing Wind of Spring Corfi. Corfi. I want to say it's Corfi. Well, we'll see. It's your basic starter. When wrote upon, draw a card. If you went second, yada, yada, yada. We know this drill. I don't think starters are going to be changing anytime soon like they did in V. Let's look at the grade 1, though. Budding of Pleasant Sounds Garcia. Grade 1, of course, for the right line. Auto, when this unit is wrote upon by Brilliant Tune Rectina, she's going to be the grade 2, you may call this card a rearguard. So you got a field presence. And then it has a continuous trigger. During the battle that this unit boosted a Vanguard, it gets power 5k, making a 13k booster for only your Vanguard. Doesn't sound like a lot. In the early game, that's honestly really, really good because you got to think. Ride grade 2, she's in the back. Now your columns are 23s on the Vanguard. Not a lot of decks want to drop shield to say no pass or what you're going to pass are going to take it. Trust me, we played Shaman King, spoilers, and when numbers get big, you don't want to guard them in the early game. But now let's look at Brilliant Tune Rectina, the grade 2 for the ride line. Auto, when this unit is rode upon by a unit with Lianorn, again butchering, in its card name, Soul Blast 1, choose a grade 1 or less card from your drop and call it to rearguard. Then it has continuous rearguard. If your back row has 3 or more rearguards, this unit gets boost. So one thing to keep in mind immediately with the grade 1 coming out of Soul, pretty much coming out of Soul with right into grade 2, the only Soul Blast is the starter in the early game, so you're left without a Soul in the early game. Be careful. But the second part of this ability, it being able to have boost, is very interesting, making a 10k booster. Now, Bastion had that with its grade 2 as well, and we see how much that gets used, but I feel like this one's gonna be a bigger, different story, because we're gonna look at the grade 3, and oh boy, I haven't seen this ability ever. We got Bandmaster of Blossoming Bonds Lienron. Again, I'm gonna just butcher that name. Anyway, similar ability to every single other grade 3 in the trial decks we've seen. Continues when this card would be wrote upon. It is also regarded as Grand March of Full Bloom Lienron. Auto Vanguard, when this unit attacks, Soul Blast 1 and discard a card from your hand, and boost this unit with all of your back row stand units with boost. If you boosted this unit with 3 or more units, this unit gets drive +1 until the end of that battle. At the end of that battle, choose 2 of your back row rearguards and stand them. And of course, it has a similar continuous rearguard ability, like all the other one. During the battle, this unit is boosted. This unit gets power 5k, making it 18k. First things first, like the rest of the trial deck main boss grade 3's, got an interesting rearguard ability that helps the deck, so it's always an 18k rearguard if you really need it. Now let's talk about the main ability. Being able to be boosted by 3 different units in the back row, and then being able to stand more than likely your outside rearguard so they can boost whatever units are in front of them, is very interesting ability, but can get it really out of hand if we're not careful in the future. So as of right now, let's just take the trial deck by itself. Let's say you put the grade 2 ride line in the back row with the grade 1, right? You got a 10k, a 13k, and whatever other 8k booster. That starts adding up. That's 31 extra power to your Vanguard just from boosting. So your Vanguard's sitting at 44, if I'm not mistaken, just through those cards. And that's just through those cards. We haven't even started reading anything else. We haven't even looked at the old support. Like, there's a 15k base doggo that Sakea like to run. imagine putting 3 of those in the back row, because you can. There's a way to move them. That's 45k boosters to 1 unit, so that's going to be a 58k attack. And then those 15k is going to restand and boost the other 2 rear guards. She discards the cards, engage the drive check, so you're not plussing too much, you're netting. And soul is going to be a problem, because if you do your ride line, you soul blast 1 for her ability, you're left without a soul. So overall, this deck is going to look very, very interesting once it comes out. And we're going to have to be very, very careful with card design inside of Stoicheia standard, because on-boost abilities are going to be able to activate as well. Just imagine 3 different on-boost abilities being able to get activated, and then the combinations that can happen. That's that's for testing. That's for videos that are going to be coming out hopefully soon. But overall, people are excited for this one. A lot of the TDH group is really excited for this one. I myself am like, it's cool. Give me Jewel. I like a difficult challenge. Anyway, let's start looking at some of the other stuff that comes inside of this trial deck. And we're going to start off, of course, from the top towards the bottom with the grade 3s, yada, yada, yada. It's the trial deck, what you expect. They're not going to be amazing, but they're going to be interesting. We got Groovy Dragon. Why do I feel like we've already gotten this card once and they're just rehashing it? Wherever. Groovy Dragon's ability is auto rearguard when this unit attacks a Vanguard. If you have 3 or more back row rearguards, counterblast 1, and this unit gets power 10k until the end of that battle. Here's your 23k attacker. Now you also definitely have a booster, so this is probably going to be a 31, 33k column easily for just 1 CB. Not bad for a trial deck. Oh, come on, work. Moving on, we're going to look at the grade 2 that all the trial decks have, that I honestly don't still understand with interceptors, but we got Upbeat Dragon, and it has the ability auto when this unit intercepts. If you have 2 more back row grade 1 or less rearguards, this unit gets shield 10k until the end of battle. So it's a 15k interceptor, and we can already start to see that for the gimmick of the deck is to have a full back row if possible. Against certain matchups, it's going to be very, very hard, but hey, maybe we get some resist cards later down the road. Anyway, we're going to move on to the grade 1 Yield Elf. Simple, straightforward ability of act rearguard once per turn. If your Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, counterblast 2 and draw a card. We've seen this effect in the other trial decks. I'm pretty sure we've seen this effect in the other trial decks. So it's a simple draw engine in a trial deck that doesn't CB much. We've seen the Dragon at CBs, and we've seen this the CBs, and that's it for right now. So that's all the CB you're going to get in the trial deck. So we'll see how it changes with the booster set. Moving on, we have Lively Rhythm Biara. She's also a grade 1, because a lot of grade 1s are going to be important in this deck, because you can boost with all of them. Auto rearguard, when the attack this unit boosted hits a Vanguard, put a grade 2 or less card from your hand into your soul and draw a card. Now this is the thing I was talking about before, where combos can start happening. Like, this is an on-boost effect that hits. If you, let's say, put 2 of these in both right and left back row rearguards, not only do you have 2 of the same unhit ability on your Vanguard, but later when they restand, you have those 2 same unhit abilities on the rearguards. So you have 4 instances and 3 attacks that have an unhit ability. That can get out of hand really fast. It's not an amazing unhit ability, don't get me wrong. Cycling your card is good and bad depending on what your hand is, but it's also generating soul resource, which we see that this deck needs, because at the cost 2 boost is a soul blast. Lost my breath there. Anyway, we're gonna move on to another grade 1, Pure Knight Theodore. Auto, when this card is discarded from your hand during your right phase, you may call this card a rearguard. We've seen this effect before, makes sense. They want to introduce an interesting discard effects for ride lines to kind of, because ride line discarding has always been a weird minus. I say weird because sometimes you don't want to ditch. This gives incentive to have certain targets that you want to ditch. And trust me, targets you want to ditch, that's all. Just ask New Orphist, Penguin, Orders, anything's a ditch target. Alright, now we're going into interesting territory. We're going to look at the cards that come in this trial deck inside of the extra little booster packs to upgrade the deck. And we're starting off with Clapping Dragon. Auto, when this unit is placed on front row rearguard from hand, if you have 3 or more back row units, counterblast 1 and draw a card. And if your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, this unit gets power 10k until the end of turn. So it replaces itself by plussing back to your hand, and it also can become a 23k attacker on its own. Very similar to the other card grade 3 we saw, but at least has an added bonus of being able to draw your card. Now it does have to be placed from your hand to the front row rear guard, but overall, honestly, a really good card, and I can definitely see its potential in other decks, not just this one. Then we got a fun little normal order, oh god, hold up. I did not make this pun intentionally. That was very, very much an accident. We have fun marching. All right, it's a grade 3 normal order. Play this with Soul Blast 1. All of your grade 1 or less rear guards get 5k until the end of turn. Have a full back row. You just added an extra 15 to your Vanguard, not to mention an extra 5 to both columns. So this is a really good order for the trial deck. I don't know if it's going to stay in the deck once we get some booster set support for this, but overall it's not a bad order to start off with. And that's actually been it for what we've seen so far for the trial deck. Now, when this drops, maybe in the next couple hours, we're going to see some more leaks. Maybe they're going to be leaks for this trial deck. Who knows? We're going to cover those in the next feed time. But with the trial deck out of the way, we can actually start looking at some more leaks for the booster set and what it all entails. First card we're going to be looking at in the booster set is a little bit of support for Orphist, ironically. So they are still supporting those decks inside of here. We're not going to see a lot of support because they're going to have to support, you know, the trial decks and any other thing they're going to introduce here. Hint, hint. But it's still good to see some Orphist support here and there. And we're going to start off with Cardinal Noid Coffee. She's a grade 1, 8k. Act rearguard if your world is Dark Knight or Abyssal Dark Knight. Soul Blast 1 and increase or decrease this unit's power to 15 until the end of turn. I honestly don't know why they made this. Soul Blast is a resource that Orphist does not want to just willy-nilly give. Increasing it to 15, cool. It's now a Shadow Army token in every sense of the word, because it's no longer it has an effect because you just use it. It's still a grade 1. The only difference is it's got 5k shield that the Shadow Army token doesn't have, but now it's a 15k. And then why decrease? Why would you ever activate this effect if you're going to decrease its power to 15? I have no idea. So it's not a bad... Could have been a common. I don't know why it's a rare. It's an interesting card. Let's just move on. To some Desire Devil support for Greedon. We got Desire Devil Funman. Auto rearguard. When this unit boosts, if you have no other rearguards, Counterblast 1, choose Greedon on your Vanguard, and it gets critical +1 until the end of that battle. So this card basically helps Greedon get a little bit more threatening. However, it forces you to play Greedon in a way where you have to suck up all of your rearguards except this one behind the Vanguard to kind of get the effect off. It's not bad. That means your first attack is just going to be a normal attack. Your second attack is going to be the one with a crit. Could be very dangerous, but for a CB where you have other combos, when CB is a little bit more important anywhere else, it's not a bad rare. I can definitely see potential options for it. I don't know why this wasn't a double rare, because this next card is fucking amazing. We got Desire Devil Kodok. It's a grade 2 common of all things, and its ability is auto rearguard. When this unit attacks while not boosted, if your Vanguard is Greedon, choose up to 4 normal units with Desire Devil in their card names from your drop, and if you chose 1 or more cards, return them to your deck and shuffle it. If you return 4 cards, this unit gets power 10k until the end of that battle. Now, of course, putting normal units back into your deck is not really what you want. You want to, keep triggers in there and all that. But in a deck like Greedon, where you go through your deck really, really fast, putting cards back to kind of, stay alive longer is not a bad idea. And you can even put some key cards back, like the Goemon to kind of guard restrict or whatever else to kind of help your deck function. Overall, it's an amazing card. It doesn't cost anything other than putting cards back. And on top of that, if you put 4 back, it's a 20k attacker. Certain instances, depending on how you use Bunny or whatever else, this could be the only card on the board, and swinging 20k is not a bad number agreed on. Trust me. So we're going to move on from that amazing card into a Keter card that's alright. Not a Fierce Break 3D. Again, butchering. Continuous Guardian Circle. If you have a Vanguard or youth in its card name, this unit gets shield 5k, making a 10k shield grade 2. Not bad. It can intercept as a 10k. It can be used from hand as a 10k. Is Youthberg gonna need this? We don't know. We need to see kind of if it struggles in the shield department. Overall, I feel like there's other cards that can be better, but it's not a bad option to have if you really need it. Another grade 2 for Keter, we got Milchweiss Schützer. Fucking love that art, first and foremost. But its ability is auto rearguard when this unit attacks. If you have a Vanguard with youth in its card name, Soul Blast 1, and this unit gets power 5k until the end of that battle, making a 15k attacker for a Soul Blast, basically. Not a bad effect. I feel like there's going to be other effects that you can want to kind of prioritize more, but hey, you could use some better rearguards that can do some things. Soul will be a problem, however, so we'll see how this card plays in the future for the deck. And actually, with that, that's been all of the leaks we've currently seen. Now, we're going to be getting some more soon, but you know, that's for now. So far, so good. We've only been seeing commons and rares from Boost Set 6, and now we've seen fully what the start decks have to offer. Next Tuesday stream, we're actually going to be seeing a little bit of more, how would I say this, spice. Because we will be seeing, let me find this here, because like, apparently I can't be organized and lost it. There it is. We're going to be seeing introducing new information for the Deluxe Real event, which is cool. But they're also going to be revealing new cards from Booster Set 6 that appear in the anime. So the next episode is going to be very key. If I remember correctly, it's Trajul versus Bruce. So we're either going to see some Trajul support in the set, or we're going to see some Bruce support. And if it's a Bruce support, I'm going to lose it right now. I'll tell you that. And then next Thursday stream, excuse me, I'm honestly looking forward to and not looking forward to it at the same time, because they announced that next Thursday stream, they're going to be revealing a new ride line for Brentgate with the hero theme inside the Booster Set 6. What does this mean? That means we're getting a new ride line for Brentgate in Booster Set 6, and if you remember last V time, they've already confirmed that we're getting a certain CEO Brentgate ride line inside of Booster Set 7. So that's 2 new Brentgate ride lines, back to back, with 3 new trial decks introducing ride lines. I don't like where this is going. I'm not going to rant too much about it. I'm excited, like I said, new Brentgate ride line, hero theme. It could be very interesting. I'm excited to see it. But we're slowly creeping up into the territory with more and more ride lines where we're going to be facing the same clan problem we faced back in V and Premium, where not everything is going to get the loving and support. Just look at Eugene and Hexorb and all those decks. Like, we've seen some Hexorb support in Boost Set 6, but how long did it take? It's like, it's exciting and terrifying at the same time. Hopefully they do it right. I'm still going to be excited to see it, but damn, that's too many ride lines. We don't need 6 ride lines in Lyrical. 6 more, Jesus. All right. Enough of that. With that being said, that's been it for the leaks. I'm going to slowly start transitioning into some of the news section. There's actually quite some news to talk about. But before that, if you're interested in any of the cards I just mentioned, go check out Triple Sleeve TCG. They got great deals on clan split cases and even more. So go check them out. Link will be in the description. All right. With all that being said, there's a couple of interesting news. First off, last Tuesday stream they announced that they were going to be showcasing the clan parts for certain units inside of Boost Set 6, just like they did it back in the day with, no, it wasn't Nirvana, with Bruce, Bastion, Snow, and Maggie. And, ta-da! This time around, Clamp has drawn Youthberg as well as the Stoikea ride line. I am not going to try to pronounce that name. And these arts look amazing. Youthberg, just presence, but the art on the Stoikea one just looks gorgeous. So I'm going to be looking forward to those SSRs or whatever the rarity is whenever they come out. Another bit of news, because we, for some reason, we've been ignoring it, but we're super excited for it. Vanguard Deer Days is set to come out November 17th, 2022, and yes, the game is confirmed to not only be in Japanese but also in English, and you'll be able to pick it up on Steam or on Switch. This is very exciting because we had EX, which was apparently a really good game, but you know, most of the people, they couldn't play it because they couldn't read Japanese, have no idea. But now we got finally this, and I'm honestly excited. Now please make it for a Mac so I can play it, because I don't want to buy a Switch. Oh, but no, Dear Days, hype, we're going to be seeing it. All right, with all that out of the way, here comes the nitty-gritty opinion-based part of the stream. Not really nitty-gritty opinion-based. I'm just going to go through it fast. The ban list has been dropped. It took like 2 weeks, I want to say, or something like that, for us to get a English ban list after the Japanese ones. A lot of people were afraid it's going to stay the same because the Japanese one was kind of, I won't say poorly received, but not well received. But it did stay the same and it didn't. So there's two parts of it. First part, I'm going to pop it up. Ta-da! Here's Standard and V Premium. And as you can see, Standard is exactly the same as Japan. We got our little Dark Strains still restricted to 1. So he's going to be, you know, not as impactful. I don't know if he was impactful. A lot of people have been telling me mixed feelings, like, oh no, why he got hit. And then other people have been telling me that they've been already playing the order. So I have no clue. But this choice restriction of Magnolia Grade 4 with Impulse, I honestly believe was the right one. We've seen Magnolia go rampant at Bushiroad Springfest, how much representation it had, how difficult the deck was to fight, not only the multi-attack, but also the hand size. So on my honest opinion, this choice restriction was needed, and it was always meant for Flagberg. Maggie just abused the shit out of it. So this is going to be very interesting, and doesn't mean Maggie is dead. Alex is already formulating plans how to resurrect the thing and actually make it either better or more interesting. Videos on that will be coming soon, yes. And then now let's look at V Premium, where it's very much contrast to Japan, where they actually decided and finally hit Prism inside of V Premium. So they hit Rosa, and I've been having one discussion with one person, and personally I feel like Rosa was a good hit. It did enable, you know, fixing, being able to bind something from top 7. You would whiff because it is only top 7, but still being able to bind anything and set yourself up for later turns was really good. My honest opinion, what made Rosa really, really good for Prism is the fact that you gained 10k to the front row. I want to say it's 10k to the front row. I could be misremembering, so someone please correct me in the comments. But that extra 10k in the front row, I honestly think that's what made her very, very dangerous. That's extra 30k shield in that turn. Now, of course, Prism still has its draw power. You're still going to be drawing 6 cards a turn when you're on grade 3. It still has decent numbers. It still going to have 5 attacks. So the deck's not dead, but I honestly do think this was a good hit, and the deck is a little bit more slowed down. Now let's hit the controversy, quote unquote. Let's look at the premium. We're going to jump that choice restriction. I'm going to want to talk about the restricted to 1, the little dragon for Stoicheia. Yes, this basically, from what I have been hearing, has killed Order Colony in a sense. The dragon was a very apparently crucial part. Gridora is just not the same without it. I think people can still play Gridora without it. People have already started finding cards to replace it. Yada, yada, yada. In my honest opinion, premium is not my forte. I understand it, but I'm not super in it, so I can't say much on the sense of this was a good hit or not a good hit. I have the feeling this was a good hit for Order Colony, but who knows. Now, the other restriction, on the other hand, even though I'm not super into premium, I can kind of say, yeah, this was not the right hit, I'm sorry. The choice restriction between Master Hari and Nightmare Doll Alice. I don't think this was the problem. Pale Moon, I won't say was a problem. It was definitely a strong deck, but I don't think the deck was strong because of these two cards being together. I think there's a lot of other factors. Could be ignorant in saying this, but I think the stride that unstrides and restrides and calls itself to rearguard was one of the problems. There could be other strides that are the problems. It could be Alice itself combined with something else that was a problem. I'm not 100% sure. Like I said, premium is not my forte. But even premium not being my forte, I honestly do believe this was the wrong Pale Moon hit. So yeah, but otherwise, like everything else from the ban list, I'm honestly okay with. Like standard, cool. V premium, honestly, I think good hit. Half a premium, all right. The other half, no. So let's see here. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 4 out of 5, 80%. I'm okay with this ban list. 80% is good. All right. With that being said, though, I do want to say one more thing before I end this episode here. Anytime a new ban list happens, anytime a new rule happens, a new card happens, anything big in Vanguard happens, and it's slightly negative or not as good, we're always going to hear Twitter blow up. We're always going to hear Vanguardians blow up. We're always going to hear the community just get an outrage with, and all due respect, correct. Like, for example, the Pale Moon one, I can completely agree with a lot of people. This was not a good hit. But lately, I've been starting to feel like every time something happens with Bushiroad, it's always a lot of wave of negativity. And I honestly can't remember the last time that I've seen or a lot of posts or one post or just anything similar where people are saying, good job. Where people are actually saying, this was done well, or praising, or like the double standard here of there's so much stuff always being shouted when something goes wrong, but not enough stuff being praised when it goes right. And I want to kind of clear my own conscience, I guess, because I always feel like if you're going to criticize something, you need to find also good points about it on the same side. You can't only say bad things and never say a good thing. It just, to me personally, doesn't feel right. So I'm going to try to uphold myself to that. And with that being said, I want to do one thing. I want to tell Bushiroad, thank you. Thank you for creating the game that we all love. Thank you for stomaching us sometimes, I want to say, whenever we go off the deep end a little bit. Thank you for listening to us the other times whenever we go off the deep end. Even though sometimes I don't believe you should listen to us. You are the business that's making the card game. You should have final say regardless of what happens. But overall, just thank you. Like, you guys have been doing an amazing job, in my opinion. Premium, from what people have told me, has been in a great spot ever since like mid-G, like similar to mid-G. Like, it's been an amazing spot. V, I want to say, is in an interesting spot. But I honestly don't know. I don't play it a lot, so I'm not going to say anything about it too much. But honestly, D, where I primarily am and I play a lot, I'm fucking loving it right now. And you guys did an amazing job with D. Boost Set 5 could have been honestly a lot better. I talked about it somewhere, but overall I still liked it. I love Chaos as a card, and I love how he plays. And I love what you're doing with the new trial decks. They're really good. The new mechanics are very interesting. They're appealing. Everybody in my group is trying to is jumping between them and trying to decide what they want to pick up. So I just want to say again, thank you to Bushiroad for just keeping this game alive, for doing what you're doing, for just creating this game overall. And you guys just keep up the amazing work. Oh yeah, one more thing. BRO registration has opened for premium and is very, very much on the horizon. I'm assuming V premium as well as standard registration is going to be opening within the next week. So that's going to be exciting. And as you can see, we got a lot of good YouTuber commentators getting ready to commentate. Yeah, commentators commentating. Who would have known? But no, BRO is going to be an exciting time. Unfortunately, this year I did not get an invitation from Bushiroad to commentate, but it's all right because now I get to play. But it's going to be an amazing time. That's another thing for Bushiroad. Thank you for bringing up back events and introducing even BRO. Like being able to have Springfest as well as Championship Series back. And then on top of that, also BRO. This is honestly what a time to be alive. So thank you again. Anyway, I'm going to slowly end this episode here, talking to myself into a camera. I don't know how some YouTubers can do this for that long. It's nice to have some interaction between the other guys, so hopefully next week time I'm not soloing this. But With that, I'm going to end this episode here. Thank you everybody so much for watching episode 136 of E-Time, the solo time. If you liked the video, please like, share it with your friends. Comment down below what you are thankful to Bushiroad and what your gripes about the ban list are, because I know you have some. Other than that, if you like what we do here, subscribe to the channel, ring that bell to get notified. Maybe even follow us on Twitter, join us on Discord, like us on Facebook, or watch us on Twitch. With that, I've been Philip, and we'll see you in the next one. Woo! Also, until I get a little bit more accustomed to my new setup, I'm not screaming as much because there's other people in the house.